Hello everyone, I'm back at it with another video. This is my latest watercolor process, and I just took this video a couple days ago. It actually took me a few days, so there's a few videos separated out, but it's my general process of watercolor painting. I bought these paints in Germany when we went for our trip in Germany, and they're Schminke Watercolor pans. They're basically just some paints I picked out myself. They're not part of the set, but there's some colors that I knew that I liked, and I kind of wanted to go with a warm, fun palette. And this is probably my first attempt at using them for something, I guess, a little bit more elaborate. I guess my first portrait with these paints. I really like them. I think it's taken me a really long time to figure out exactly what I like in watercolors, what I don't like. Every time I think that I know I like something, I end up not liking it. Shout out to all the subscription boxes like Scrollerbox and Sketchbox, because that was a good way for me to figure out exactly what watercolors I like and I don't like. You know, for the longest time I thought I'd like inks, but I don't really like inks. And then I thought, you know, maybe it didn't matter so much, but I found that I really don't like paints that have like that chalkiness appearance to them. And I also found I had struggles with my paper because my previous sketchbook, it was like a Strathmore, it didn't absorb the paint equally. Like I would put the paint down and then it wouldn't absorb in the paper in certain areas, so it made it really splotchy. So that was really frustrating for me to figure that out. And so it wasn't until I started using these Etchr Sketchbooks that I felt like I had more consistency with the paper. I've been using my White Nights mostly, and I really like those, but I kind of wanted to try something else, and I've been wanting to try these. I've kind of seen them. I've tried Daniel Smith watercolors, and I like those, but they have so many different paints. I was kind of overwhelming to like figure out which ones were good for me. I think I tried a lot. I tried one of their swatch books, and I bought some paints, but I don't know. The swatch book that I got, I think, was more of the minerals and things, like kind of more unique watercolors, and I think I was looking for more basic type of watercolors. So I ended up not really liking those as much as I thought I would. My mom actually got really into watercolors when I taught her. Like I gave her a quick lesson on how to paint. She liked it so much she ended up wanting that swatch. So I don't even have the Daniel Smith swatch anymore. So that brings us back to what are my thoughts on these Schminke ones and what do I like about them? Like I said, it's hard to really pinpoint what I like, but I think it's I like watercolors that behave somewhat predictably and unpredictably, which sounds not helpful. I like them to be predictable in the fact that I want them, when I lay the paints down, I want them to kind of, I don't want them to do the thing where they like soak up in one area more than the other. I want them to kind of lay down evenly, but I also want them to be unpredictable, where when I lay them down and they kind of, when they're absorbed by the water will maybe take the paints in an interesting granulation or something like that. I think that works really well for my technique because, as you can kind of see, I do a whole bunch of little layers and then I lift up. I'll basically paint a little bit and then I will spread the paint to make like a perfect gradient, and then I'll lift it if I'm not happy with it, and I'll just keep layering it until I'm really happy with how it looks. Like there, I just lifted it again. And it's just this constant process. Like this is honestly how I learned to paint, is I just put things down, and it's more of a discovery process versus an invention process. I think there's like that age-old question, is math invented or discovered? Well, I guess you can ask what it is for art, because I think art for me is a discovery, not an invention I'm trying to tame or control. I'm more just continue to see what the paints give me, and if I like it, I'll keep it, and if there's something I don't like, I'll keep reworking it until I like it. I guess the downside to that is you never really know like consistently what you're gonna get, and you also don't know how much time you're gonna end up spending on a piece. And this is probably a good piece to as a case in point. Oh, there's my head in the way. I'm mixing colors a lot and kind of swatching them on that page, and I think it was taking me some time to figure out exactly what color I wanted for her hair. But yeah, I started this in the fall, which is pretty revealing because it's now like December. And I really wanted to do like this fall vibe, this woman, you know, holding a cup of coffee and then just paint leaves. This was just a piece for me to have fun. There was nothing like I was trying to, you know, do anything that's revolutionary. And so I found just a picture on Adobe stock footage of a woman drinking coffee, and she just looked so happy, and it's exactly how I feel whenever I drink coffee. And I guess it connected with me, and then I just found a whole bunch of leaves and kind of interpreted them a little bit my own. So I guess what I'm doing here is, and another thing that I like to do a lot is a whole bunch of washes, and then lifting the washes wherever I want to lighten it. So I just painted the entire spread with this kind of coffee-ish, warm, yellowish color, and then I go over with the paper towel and lift exactly what I think needs to be lightened, and that's really it. So I waited for this to fully dry, and then I came back to it. I think I went back to this piece like almost half a dozen times, because you have to wait for it to dry, but I just get tired, so I'll paint, and then maybe a different day or a different hour I'll get back to it, which kind of is back to what I was saying before with this piece. Started in the fall, feeling fall vibes, and didn't get done until now, and it just took me a really long time to finish this. I've been kind of struggling with that for a bit, of just feeling the motivation to paint. I think a couple years ago it was a lot easier for me, but now it seems like it's so weird because every time I paint, I love it. I'll listen to music and I'll be really satisfied with how the paint looks. It's just super fun. But as soon as I stop painting and I take a break, I kind of like don't want to get back to it. And I don't really know why it is. I think it's just because I'm tired a lot lately. But it's okay. I don't know. I'm still working through it. Actually, I had a few questions. Well, I had asked anyone if they had any questions with this video, because I didn't really have a plan for what I was gonna do or talk about. I just, you know, set up my camera and painted and sped it up and figured, oh yeah, I guess I can talk for, I don't know how long this is. It's probably gonna end up being 30 minutes now that I'm looking at the timestamp. So 30 minutes of me talking. I needed some help. So let me pull up my questions. Cause yeah, this brings back to my good friend Trisha. She said, how to return to a piece you've been procrastinating on. Cause I had shown her pictures of this piece back in November when I was working on it. I was like, look, I am working on something after I hadn't been working on something for a while. And then I procrastinated on it. So I do something, and I don't know how healthy it is, but I will do multiple projects, but I try to not have unfinished projects. I like to try to at least finish stuff. And I guess part of that is when I get to that point, I'll work on it, and then, I don't know, I have kind of the art block with finishing it, which I think we all have those pieces. I tell myself, just finish it, don't worry about ruining it, just at least put in the work, introduce an experiment, to learn about it. And so that's kind of what I did to get myself to finish this piece. Is I started it, I was pretty happy with it, and I told myself, look, just do it, just put the time in, don't worry about what you have to do, just put the time in. And sure enough, I had a good weekend where I felt ready to paint, and I kind of knocked it out in that weekend. And normally, my other approach to this is just don't give yourself too many breaks. I have a habit of starting the drawing one day and doing the painting the second day or another day. It doesn't have to be right after it. But I like to do that because it gives me a chance to get fresh eyes on the line work. So there's definitely an advantage of not working on a piece in one day. So that way you can kind of have the fresh eyes approach, which definitely is a thing, because I cannot tell you how many times I'll be working on a piece and it looks absolutely fine by me, and then I'll look at it another day and I'll be like, whoa, this is off. Or the opposite, where I'm really not feeling a piece, it's just not turning out how I was intending, but then I come back and I look at it later, and out of that context or that mindset, with fresh eyes, I like it. It might not even be correct, but maybe I like the mistake, and I'm more forgiving or accepting of myself. So, I hope that answers that question. So next question. Oh, give me a second. Dorothy. She asked, your holiday traditions, your inspiration for this piece, or words of art wisdom for us peons. Dorothy's awesome. I really enjoyed talking to her. She's a really good artist, just like Trisha. She does a lot of illustrative work, and she also did a lot of cosplay. But she did so many different outfits last year, and every single outfit she completely nailed. So thanks, Dorothy, for asking the question, and thanks for being awesome. This one, the inspiration for this piece is, I just wanted to feel comforted. I just wanted to do something fun. For me, painting, especially painting like this with watercolors and a portrait, is a comfort process. And so I was just feeling I just kind of wanted to explore and be comforted. And so that's the entire feeling of this painting. That was its intention. That's what I was doing. Right now I'm kind of painting her. She's kind of a fuzzy jacket. Look really cozy. And I like interpreting the patterns to give it texture. I'm not super patient into doing all the details exact, and I also don't really enjoy looking at that. It looks almost too clean to me. I have this thing that's, I think, honestly more of a detriment, where I kind of like all my pieces to look a little messy. If they look too clean, it just really bothers me. And I feel the same way about her clothes, and just really kind of everything, the hair. I just want it to look a little like I'm not trying. I like my pieces to look like they're kind of effortless, if that makes sense. Kind of like what you do. Well, I don't know if other people do this, where you put an outfit together and then when you put the outfit on, you're like, oh man, this looks way too like put together, and this is not the vibe I'm going for. And so you purposely like try to mix and match some other things in there to try to make it look like you didn't put any thought in your outfit. I mean, I can't be the only one who does this, but it's what I do with my paintings. It translates to my paintings. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. Let's see, I have one more question, and then I'll have to like dive in real deep into the art wisdom and just come up with some sort of art conspiracy to talk about. We'll see. So the last question is from Art of Troy Palmer. He's also I got so many awesome artists. He's an amazing artist. He does some really cool kind of like movie poster style art for like horror movies, and he usually does them with like a limited palette, and so they're really graphic and stylized and really convey kind of the feeling in a really unique way. I'm a huge fan. Anyways, his question is coffee or tea, which is better and why? The age-old question. Anyone who knows me knows this is a very complicated question for me because I love both. I call myself a huge coffee snob because I don't know, I am. And I also love tea. I think my brother has beaten me on being a tea snob. He recently went to Korea for a couple months, and he came back and brought me a Korean tea set and some Korean tea. And he might be snobbier than me on tea because of that, so we'll see. But I don't know. I would have to say coffee. I mean, tea's more versatile because you can have it uncaffeinated easier. I guess you can have coffee uncaffeinated, but that's not coffee in its true form. Let's be real. There is more variety to tea, but here's the part where tea falls off compared to coffee. There's no heaviness to tea. It's basically water, unless you add milk, or if you have like a really good black tea, it doesn't have the same weight and like mouthfeel. I'm starting to sound like a pretentious person. This is, of coffee. And I don't know, I like coffee a lot. It's also a lot more caffeinated, so I don't know. I guess I'm addicted to the caffeine. I definitely drink both my tea and my coffee without milk or sugar because it's better that way. My preferred way of drinking coffee is I like to make pour-overs. My favorite type of coffee bean is usually single origin Ethiopian coffee. It usually has kind of this floral, delicate, not quite sweet, but sometimes sweet. Sometimes it'll have like a blueberry taste to it. It's really cool. If you can make a really good coffee with, I don't know, like good beans, and you don't make like a super bitter coffee. You just make it right. Then you don't need anything in it. You can taste some amazing flavors that you really can't taste anywhere else. I would liken it to like almost like a good wine, but it's way cheaper and you can drink it during the day. So for that reason, coffee. But I do like tea. I like green tea quite a bit, like matcha. I like black tea. I like every kind of tea. I like herbal teas even. I say even because some people are like, no herbal teas, and some people are like, only herbal teas. I like them all. They all have a place in my heart. But if I have to answer the question, and I've spent a really long time answering this question, I'd say coffee. So, Yeah, after wasting probably a good amount of time talking about tea and coffee, I guess we can get back to the art. I've kind of spaced out on what I'm doing, but it looks like, yeah, I'm painting the leaves. Here was where I really got to experiment with the colors, and these colors, these paints were very vibrant and just a joy to work with. It was fun to kind of let them do their own thing and then either go with it or not. Honestly, I'm a little torn looking back at this if these leaves looked better without the details. I think I initially did these details and I didn't like them. They looked too stark and too clean. I don't know. Clean might be the wrong word. If somebody knows a better word of what I'm trying to describe, I would really appreciate it. If they look too, I don't know, dedicated. So I did go, after I went in these leaves and added these details, I went back over them with a wash again. And like I said earlier in this video, that is a big common strategy for me, is just going over my entire piece with a wash, especially when I'm like not happy with it. And I would say 9 times, probably 10 times out of 10, that really makes the piece look complete to me. It does 2 things. It eliminates any white spaces, which I think kill a painting, is having too much unintentional white space. And it also kind of like makes the lines a little fuzzier, not as harsh, especially if like your focal point is the background, like is you don't want it to be, for example, I don't want these leaves to stand out. Right now they're really standing out, and I don't like that. I want her to kind of stand out so you feel like you're in a haze of leaves. So that's why I went ahead and kind of did that wash, which it's a bit later. I think I fussed around with these leaves quite a bit. There is something really fun about just fussing with watercolor. I think everyone's first perception of watercolor is, oh, I put the paint down and it's so unforgiving. I can't layer it, you know, like acrylic where you can just cover it up and redo it. And while there's some truth to that, there really isn't, because as long as you have a paper towel or a cloth towel or really anything, you can lift it up. You can add water and lift it up, and it's amazing. Like a paint like this, it lifts very beautifully. Anything that I'm not happy with, I usually can just lift it up and just redo it, or just lighten it. And I love that versatility. Looking back at this, I do kind of, with the leaves filled in more, I think I really do like some of the definitions, so maybe I went too hardcore on lightening them. I don't know, I'm curious on what other people's thoughts are on that. There's so many decisions you need to make when you work on art. Like, I'm trying harder to try to make these decisions feel more intuitive and kind of practice being intuitive. Intuitive meaning I essentially don't overthink it. I just kind of do whatever I'm feeling in the moment, and if there's something that I like, just roll with it. Like, I remember really liking kind of those gaps in that yellow and red leaf that I'm working on now. And, you know, a lot of these leaves, I mean, I followed kind of a guide of different leaves that I took as inspiration, but a lot of them I just really kind of winged it and went with whatever I felt looked good. And yeah, I think now I'm looking at this, it also looks different when it's dried versus wet. I kind of like it like this, and maybe I kind of regret doing the wash. The wash is always fun though, there's no doubt in that. So here I am, I'm mixing the wash, which usually is always a neutral color. I like warm tones to my paintings. A lot of them are kind of warm, and so I usually mix some sort of yellow or orange. And yeah, I'm just kind of going over the entire piece. Since it's not even completely dry, it's lifting it, it's like making it kind of fade in the background. I don't know, I like this too. It just comes down, I guess, to personal preference. And then I guess I decided I was done painting. You can only paint for so long on the same piece. I spent a lot more time on this than I usually do because I was enjoying it. You know, I'll be honest. If I work a really long time on a painting, it's either because it's a commission and I'm nervous about messing it up, or because I'm just really enjoying it. I think this one, I really enjoyed it. Just every stage of it was fun. And I don't know if that has to do with the paints being fun or just this particular theme resonated with me for being cozy and drinking coffee. It's definitely she's drinking coffee, if that isn't abundantly clear. I think Troy mentioned something about drinking tea, so I'm sorry if I'm breaking your dreams, but she's drinking coffee. I think I got to a point where I just wanted to do the highlights, so I just kind of went over everything. Added some highlights in her hair, lightened up some things, and I found I've used a few different things for highlights. Which, if you're a person who does watercolor and you don't use a white pen, what are you doing? You need, like, they go hand in hand. If you're using a medium that you can't use, you don't have anything opaque that's light, then you're gonna need a white pen at some point. It's gonna change your life. So if you're a watercolor artist and you don't use a white pen, I mean, you might have a certain style, I don't know, but you probably should use a white pen. So I've used, I think, a white gel pen and white ink and white Posca pen. The white ink is the thing that works the best, but the white Posca is the easiest and most convenient, so it's been my go-to lately. I'm really putting my face into this. And then for the last final touches, I've been enjoying using color pencils to just kind of, you know, get that final little bit of texture, really finish things out. It's really easy to overdo this step. In fact, I probably did, to be perfectly honest. But color pencils are also forgiving because they erase. Not completely, but mostly. And you can smooth them if you ever get, like, for example, if you're in a situation where you use a color pencil and it's coming out kind of rough, just use a neutral color or a white and that will blend it out. And that's what I'm doing with this white. This white isn't really white, it's more clear because it is a Polychromo. And those are, since they're hard oil based color pencils, their white is not as strong as like the creamier ones. Like I think the Caran d'Ache white is a lot more opaque, and so it works really well to just smooth out textures. But I remember this part. I was like, wow, I love this look of adding texture to her hair. It's a little strong, maybe heavy-handed, but I always liked graphic looking hair. You know, the sharp edges. It just looks really cool to me. And I really wanted to kind of tone down that white, so I went over it with this light ochreish, brownish color. I tried to fix her hands. She had this awkwardness of like having white fingernails on top of kind of a pretty pale hand and a white cup. So there was a lot of subtlety that was hard to describe, and I honestly probably could have done a better job. My goal was just to have you not pay attention to the hand. So I'm not even going to talk about it. It is what it is. But yeah, it was nice going over these edges. I think the last thing I did is, I'm smoothing it out again. I go over this quite a bit, just softly, and then smooth it out with the white, and that just works kind of the best. And yeah, I spent a lot of extra effort really cleaning up those nails. But yeah, I think this is almost done. I'm just putting up the final touches, and overall I'm really happy with this piece. It was supposed to portray comfort. It was comfortable. It was comfy for me to make, so I think it's a success. And I need to work on more stuff like this. It's been a while, and I need to get back into it. I'd also like any feedback if anybody's made it this far. If you like these videos, if you find them helpful, if my talking is helpful, please leave me a comment if you made it this far and you want more of this, because I really don't get anything. I'm not gonna get a ton of viewers or anything for making this. So I'm literally just doing it because I think it's helpful, maybe to somebody else. So if it is helpful, please let me know and I'll make more. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing these. They're a lot of work. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah.